I don't know how to open with this. I really don't. I mean, yeah. You can see the screen. It's a lawsuit. It's been over the news all day today, and I think yesterday as well. But, well, mostly today because it came out today. Maybe it hit the news like last night. I don't know. I was working on the script for doing a video soon talking about the innovative differences between World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV, why everyone's going to Final Fantasy XIV, where we would be if World of Warcraft hadn't helped kind of push the whole MMO market and all that jazz. But I saw this morning, and like all throughout the day while I was working, I was thinking about this because it's like, shit. So, for those of you who are not aware, this is the lawsuit filed by the Department of Fair Employment and Housing, and they're suing Activision Blizzard over what is being called their frat boy culture. So those of you who don't know what Activision Blizzard is, it is obviously the company that makes World of Warcraft. The company that also makes Call of Duty, Activision, because Activision knows Blizzard, and they're Activision Blizzard. This has been a stress read for me. So, as far as my history when it comes to this particular company and their video games, I have always been a big fan of Warcraft. I played the original Warcraft games, Warcraft 1, 2, and 3, their expansions. I played World of Warcraft from the time it was a beta, or in beta for vanilla, and all the way up to the end of Mists of Pandaria. And I came back and tried Warlords of Draenor, and I just never came back again. And it is appalling, but not unexpected, what you can read in this lawsuit. And I would like to point out, this lawsuit is brought forth, and they've already done an extensive investigation into what has been happening at Blizzard. And there's now been on Reddit, as well as Twitter, a number of verified current and former employees stepping forward saying, hey, this is what I've been experiencing, or this is what I experienced while working for this company. And I know it's probably already out there. Blizzard probably giving some sort of like just basic wash kind of excuse or pandering apology of like, but we are a very diverse company and we put people through training. I'm sorry. Some of the stuff you read in this lawsuit, you don't fix that with training. You fix it with a crowbar. And I'm not advocating that you go and find these people and beat them with a said crowbar. That is my frustration speaking. Don't do anything illegal. It shouldn't be that hard. Some of these things, it's very common sense. Hey, don't harass women. In fact, don't harass anybody. Just don't. Don't be a massive dick to people. It's not that hard. It really isn't. And trust me, some of my friends have described me as an asshole sometimes. I've been described as kind of mean. In fact, I don't know how I have some of my friends, considering how much I stop for a moment and think, shit, I'm being mean. But I don't do this. This. And no. So, it was a 2-year investigation. There's an article of it by Bloomberg. It was written by Maeve Alsup, I think I read, if I read that correctly. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but he wrote it for Bloomberg, and he talked in it about everything that has essentially, it's a very short read, but it pretty much covers very well everything that's been going on. Women being passed up for obvious promotions or being delayed over them or being screwed over for proper compensation or payment and so on. The usual stuff that, we kind of made illegal years ago. I want to say it was it the 70s or 80s that we made it to where you kind of have to pay women equal to what you pay men But, I know companies still get by with it somehow, or one way or another. But it's bullshit. It is levels of bullshit that I could not possibly fathom as to what is in this lawsuit. So, as you see, this is the actual lawsuit. You can find it on the internet very easily, as with all public files, any lawsuits that go on. It talks about where Blizzard is, where they come from. It even talks here. It shows a summary compensation table, and it even mentions out of the entire CEO staff, there is only one woman, and there's no diversity other than that. White guy, white guy, white guy, white guy, one woman, and that's how much she makes. And yeah, I mean, it's a CPO. I get it, but still, the idea that you are being essentially relegated to a lower pay just because you're female is bullshit. Here's one of the ones I want about. Defendants have also fostered pervasive frat boy workplace culture that continues to thrive. In the office, women are subjugated to cube crawls, in which male employees drink copious amounts of alcohol as they crawl their way through various cubicles in the office and engage in inappropriate behavior towards female employees. Male employees proudly come into work hungover, play video games for long periods of time during work while delegating their responsibilities to female employees, engage in banter about their sexual encounters, talk openly about female bodies, and joke about rape. I'm sorry, what? What? Okay, I'll only point out, I get it, there's supposed to be the best, the gamer kind of, mentality and so on. Again, fixed with crowbar, but what? In the professional world, not a single bit of this paragraph is acceptable. I work for a Fortune 500 company myself. I work on Cisco phones. Unfortunately, I'm not really allowed to say what I do for a day job anymore, because that's the way it works. But let's just say I work for a company, and we do a lot of work on the Cisco phones for Cisco, and this crap would not fly at all. Period. Cube crawls, where they drink copious amounts of alcohol on the job is alone to get you fired anywhere else. You're not supposed to have alcohol on the job to begin with. That's normally step one. And I would like to point out that, yeah, I get it, each workplace is different, but you're supposed to maintain a certain level of professionalism, regardless of what your field is. I make video games. Good! That's great. I'm not downplaying you. I'm just saying, be sober at work. We need you sober. Otherwise you can't code or draw or whatever. But you know what? I can kind of, if it was small amount of alcohol, sure, whatever. You can do a small amount. I'll be honest. There's been days where I have been super stressed working from home, and I would have a small drink. But never enough to where it's oh God, I can't see my keys. What am I doing? It's more cool, I had one small beer. That's it. I now no longer am stressed as much as I am. I can continue on with my work. But this, and a cube crawl, where they crawl through the various cubicles in the office and often engage in inappropriate behavior towards female employees. What? And it just gets worse. Starting at 6, unsurprisingly, defendants' frat boy culture is a breeding ground for harassment and discrimination against women. You think? Female employees are subjected to constant sexual harassment, including having to continually fend off unwanted sexual comments and advances by their male coworkers and supervisors, and being groped at the cube crawls and other company events. High-ranking executives and creators engage in blatant sexual harassment without repercussions. In a particular tragic example, a female employee committed suicide during a business trip with a male supervisor who had brought a butt plug and lubricant with him on the trip. Defendants continuously condone the quid pro quo and hostile work environment. The message is not lost on their employees. What? My heart goes out to the family of the employee who committed suicide. After reading this entire lawsuit, and I read all 29 pages, I feel like the company just needs to be purged. Just purged of every person who rightfully deserves to be fired and then blacklisted. Now, I'm not saying, just purge everyone. I'm saying go through and find everyone who is responsible for these actions, everyone who not only condoned but helped cover them up, which apparently the HR department, and blacklist them and fire them. And as far as, blacklisting, that means you're never working in this field again. I don't care that's your livelihood. You were messing with other people's livelihoods, and you were harassing people. If you cannot be professional at a job, I cannot trust you to be professional anywhere else. But high-ranking executives and creators engage in blatant sexual harassment without repercussions. That part pisses me off. That part pisses me off, too. Because why? Why would this be allowed? No. In the perfect world, this is not acceptable. I know there's other companies out there that are just as bad. There's probably some parts of my company that I don't know about that is just as bad. But at the same time, if anyone says, well, I didn't know I wasn't allowed to harass someone, that's at the same time like saying, well, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to pee on that person out in public. Just because someone didn't tell you not to do it doesn't mean you should do it or can do it. There's a level of common sense and common courtesy that should be innately in you. And if it's not, then you need to go back to kindergarten where you obviously were not raised right. Or, I don't know. Something is definitely wrong with your upbringing to where you think any of this is acceptable. Because I assure you, it's not. Numerous complaints about unlawful harassment, discrimination, and retaliation were made to the defendant's human resources personnel and executives, including to Blizzard Entertainment's president, J. Allen Brack. But defendants failed to take effective remedial measures in response to these complaints. See, I'm going to stop right there because, like I said, the fact that it was sent to, and it included the president, J. Allen Brack, of Blizzard Entertainment. That tells me that anything that they say, it's like, well, we don't know why they didn't come to us first, is an obvious fucking lie. And anything after that is not to be trusted, because the trust bar, it's down here. It's way down here. I don't trust them. Don't trust them at all. Don't trust to borrow $1 for them. Employees were further discouraged from complaining as human resource personnel were known to be close to alleged harassers. An internal investigation into human resource unit noted that there was a big lack of trust, and that HR not held in high regard. In other words, HR wasn't doing their job, and I'll get to this in a moment. Unsurprisingly, employee complaints were treated in a perfunctory and dismissive manner and not kept confidential, which is against the law, by the way. As a result of these complaints, female employees were subjected to retaliation, including but not limited to being deprived of work on projects, unwillingly transferred to different units, and selected for layoffs. Okay, so as far as HR goes, I want you to know this. No matter what company you work at, and no matter what they say, even if it's in writing, HR is not there for you as the employee. It is not. It is there to cover the ass of the company and to protect the company. That is it. And I know this because I've had similar problems with at my own job back when I first started. I had gone to the HR person multiple times about certain supervisors who were literally just picking favorites. They'd stand behind and chat up a big storm with an operator who's on a call with a major customer while that operator is on Facebook playing Candy Crush and have no problem. They just sit there, talk. But the second someone they didn't like was just, checking their personal email at work, which was a no-no, but is not a big no-no, considering at the time said agent or said operator wasn't even allowed to lead calls yet. In other words, very low-risk position. They wanted to try and write him up. Yeah. It's bullshit. Don't trust your HR. They protect the company first and no one else. But as far as the being subjected to retaliation, that is definitely against the law, if I recall correctly, because, one, it's supposed to be confidential. You're not supposed to retaliate to people, outside of legal or HR matters, because it's supposed to be kept confidential. I'm not supposed to tell you, like, hey, Susie from, Department 3 was complaining about you in HR. She said you're a real piece of work. So now you're pissed at Susie. Like, how dare she go to HR about me? I mean, sure, word gets around an office quick that, hey, so-and-so went to HR. We don't really know as to what, but we'll probably find out soon. Plaintiff DFEH, an agency of the state of California, brings this enforcement action, blah, 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 blah. Specifically, violations pled herein include claims of sexual discrimination in terms of condition of employment, including compensation, assignment, promotion, constructive discharge, termination, unlawful sexual harassment, retaliation, failure to prevent discrimination, harassment, and retaliation, and unequal pay. Look at the level. It's not just... It's pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 separate portions that are going into this. How do you fuck up this bad? I'll tell you how. You let it keep happening. There was another example in here I wanted to show. Where is it? After more than 2 years of investigation, DFEH issued a cause finding on June 24th, 2021. In the course of the DFEH's investigation, they found the evidence that defendants discriminated against female employees in terms of conditions of employment, including compensation, assignment, promotion, termination, constructive discharge, and retaliation. Its investigation also found that female employees were subject to sexual harassment. The investigation also found that defendants failed to take all reasonable steps to prevent unlawful discrimination, harassment, or retaliation. Lastly, the investigation further found that defendants had committee violations of Labor Code Section 1197.5 in paying female employees less than their male counterparts for substantially similar work. These claims are alleged and or reasonably related to and like the claims originally alleged in the director's complaints. They even attempted to resolve this matter without litigation. Prior to filing this action, it required all parties to participate in mandatory dispute resolution in the department's internal dispute resolution division free of charge to the parties in an effort to resolve the dispute without litigation. Specifically, they invited the defendants to participate in mediation session with the department's internal dispute resolution division on July 1st, 2nd, and 15th of 2021, but the parties were unable to resolve the administrative complaints. That means whatever the level of shit was up here, and whatever they were offering was just not meeting that level of shit. You gave them this much shit, and you barely gave them any compensation or anything, or even tried to protect them. And that's another part that pissed me off. Did not take reasonable steps to prevent unlawful discrimination, harassment, or retaliation. Jesus Christ. Trust me, it gets more and more infuriating the more you read it. So I highly suggest reading it on your own and in small bites that you can digest, because, did not matter if you were pregnant, they harassed you, micromanaged you, and just kind of let the guys do whatever. Oh, wait, yeah, female employees almost universally confirmed. I'll point out, at this time, the female employees count up to 20% of Blizzard's diverse employee group. 20%. because they're very diverse. They're a pride of diversity. Load of shit, any apology that they give. Female employees almost universally confirmed that working for defendants was akin to working in a frat house, which invariably involved male employees drinking and subjugating female employees to sexual harassment with no repercussion. Cube crawls, as mentioned before, in defendants' offices were commonly, and male employees proudly came into work hungover. Similarly, male employees would play video games during work, engage in banter about their sexual encounters, talk only about the female bodies, and make numerous jokes about rape. As a product of this frat boy culture, women were subjugated to numerous sexual comments and advances, groping and unwanted physical touching, and other forms of harassment. I'm going to pause right there. I realize that I am not the best when it comes to social interactions, because I just didn't really develop them. I'm very bad with meeting people. But even I can understand body language to the point that, person does not want to be touched. And as such, normally, I don't touch people. I don't like being touched. I don't like physical contact unless I truly know the person very well. And other than that, don't touch me. I don't like to be touched. So I can only imagine what these women felt like with essentially being harassed and physically groping and unwanted physical touching and other forms of harassment. What the fuck? Like, why? If it's obvious that they don't want to be touched, then don't touch them. And even more so, if they never say you can touch them, then don't touch them. And that doesn't mean coerce them into letting you touch them. That means just don't fucking touch them unless you are absolutely sure and they are absolutely clear that they are okay with being touched. And I'm not saying that just in regards to women. I mean that in general. People don't touch each other unless both parties are consenting. It's not that hard. It's like back in kindergarten. You see two kids poking and, hitting each other. What do? You yell at them. Hey, keep your hands to yourself. I guess these people missed that lesson in kindergarten. Maybe we should send them back. And a female employee noted that random male employees would approach her on the defendant's work site and comments on her breasts. Female employees working for the World of Warcraft team noted that male employees and supervisors would hit on them, make derogatory comments about rape, and otherwise engage in demeaning behavior. This behavior was known to supervisors and indeed encouraged by them, including a male supervisor, openly encouraging a male subordinate to buy a prostitute to cure his bad mood. There's a lot I could say. But this has been going on for like 24 minutes. I'm going to stop here because I'm getting pissed again. I'm getting pissed just as I was pissed earlier when I read through this the first time. I'm going to find my happy place for a moment. Alright, so, fuck Activision Blizzard. Just fuck them. I have not played a single Blizzard game in like 5 years. And that's not because of stuff like this, but because of differences in tastes in video games, and they just weren't being very innovative or creative enough to really scratch the itches that I need in regard to gaming. But this, if I knew about this, I definitely would never have played any of their games. Because this is unacceptable. And I truly hope that the people who have been victimized by this, I hope those employees, they get their retribution. They get what they deserve in regards of compensation and the people who harass them getting fired and blacklisted. Because the women who put up with this shit, I am sorry. I am truly sorry that this has happened to you. And that it took all of this and finally going to a lawsuit for it to be brought to light in the way that it has been. Now, I know there's been a number of videos and so on where, or news articles where they're talking about, like, hey, working for this company is shit. But I don't think I've ever seen it to this level of shit. So, I'm just going to say, I hope that this lawsuit goes through, you get your compensation, and you're able to live a much more comfortable life away from this company and away from this festering shit pile, this cesspool of whatever this is that allowed this to be. Because I can tell you, this is not acceptable in any form whatsoever. I need a drink now. I'll catch you guys later.